getting to the last leg of this journey to select a new Chief Executive Officer. I don't know about all you, but maybe you more so than I. I don't like change. When you have a good thing, I never want it to change. We had such a good thing with Heather Corbulic. I never want anything to change when it's good, but yes, things change. People move on. They get new exciting opportunities. But now we have the opportunity today. I'll go ahead and since it's 12:32, call our meeting to order. We'll have an exciting opportunity to offer someone new for a new opportunity for this wonderful job. So calling the meeting to order, I'll start with roll call. And I think I had, was it Tiffany or was it Michelle who offered, or Janelle who offered to do roll call today?
I'm happy to do roll call. Tiffany Davis, Executive Assistant with the Silver State Health Insurance Exchange for the record. So I will go ahead and do roll call, Madam Chair. Dr. Jameson?
Here.
Valerie Clark?
Here.
Levon Lewis? Is she with us? Not yet. Okay. Dr. Friedman? I see your name.
Here.
Thank you. Jonathan Johnston?
Here.
Thank you. Jose Melendrez, he did actually let me know that he has a meeting conflict today, so will not be able to join us, so he will be absent. Quincy Branch?
Here.
Thank you. Susan Bierman? I'm not seeing her name, so absent.
Tiffany, she's on. She was in the attendees. I just moved.
Oh, okay, wonderful. Thank you, Katie. So hopefully we'll hear from her. There she is. Suzanne Bierman?
Hi, present. Sorry for the delay.
That's okay. Thank you so much. Commissioner Richardson? And I believe she too had another meeting conflict, so will not be able to join us. And then our new ex officio with us, Kelly Anderson. I do not believe that I see her. And Madam Chair, we do have a quorum.
Thank you so much, Tiffany. Florence Jameson, Chair speaking. I'd like to ask at this time for any public comment. And Tiffany, are you the one that can see if there's any public comment?
And Katie as well can see. And just want to remind for those, anybody who may be on, that if you'd like to make a public comment, you can raise your hand with the raise hand feature, and then Katie will unmute you. Katie, do you see anyone who has their hand up for public comment?
One hand up. Just one moment. Barry Gold.
We do have.
Okay, go ahead, Barry.
Yes. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, Barry.
Okay, thank you very much. For the record, my name is Barry Gold, B-A-R-R-Y-G-O-L-D. I'm the Director of Government Relations for AARP Nevada. I would like to echo the comments made earlier by Dr. Jameson. Heather was amazing in the role she was at. She was perfect. Her history, her background, and what she has done. Hopefully, what I saw with Nevada Health Link has made tremendous gains from the beginning. AARP was involved before the birth, when the first original legislation was being considered, and has watched it grow and expand. And there's been a few bumps in the road, but lately the sailing has been on smooth water with a record number of people enrolled. It is just amazing to see how this has really helped Nevada's uninsured become insured. I'm looking forward to the future when hopefully SB 420, the public option bill, which will be linked with the Nevada Health Link in terms of getting people insured, will happen. And I know Heather will go on to do great things, and I'm so pleased. And I just like to once again thank her for her service and all the great things she did, not just for Nevada Health Link, but really for the people of Nevada. Thank you.
Florence Jameson, Barry, thank you for those comments. And thank you for being with us on this long journey and helping shape it. You have always been here since day one. And you've always been giving us valuable input, and we appreciate your continued support. Any other public comment? I did see there's quite a few people, over 30, that are on. Was there a next public comment?
Not seeing any on my end.
Okay.
And Dr. Jameson, we do have our Carson City Conference Room open. So I know Caitlin, our staff member Caitlin, is in that room, and I'm not sure if there's any public comment from there.
We'll give it a moment.
All right, thank you.
And hearing none, just like to announce that we will have public comment at the end again. So not to worry if somebody's thinking they want to do it and aren't quite ready. So going on, we have Executive Director Recruitment update, and it's just on the in your information that was given out, and it's very brief. Tiffany, did you want to actually share that?
Yes, Dr. Jameson, I would be happy to. And before I do start, I think I need to bring something up and to the attention to the board that just popped on my radar, and maybe our DAG, Michelle Briggs, can help us navigate this. There were several ways that the candidates could apply for this. One was to contact me directly, and the other one was through SuccessFactors, the state's new system that they have for recruiting and for careers and such, for applying for state recruitment. I was able to see on that new system if any candidates were coming on, and I have always seen 0. Well, today I was just notified that there were actually 2 other candidates that did apply through that new system. I could not see them, and I had no access to them, and I was not alerted of that until just now. They are not on our list, so technically we would have 7 candidates, but this is just coming to my attention, so I do apologize for this. And Michelle Briggs, if you could give us some kind of maybe direction on how to go
This
forward.
is Chair Dr. Jameson. Did they come in prior to the deadline of January 15th?
They did.
Oh, yeah, I noticed the new sites that were listed. So, yes, I think in all fairness, I would like to ask the, as you said, our DAG person to give us some guideline, and then the board decide if they'd like to continue and sort through our applicants as of today. But certainly we will have to meet and as a group and review those as well, or whether we review them as we will get guidelines any moment, wait and do them all together. So I'm open to our expert in this area. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is Michelle Briggs, Chief Deputy Attorney General. So since you just became aware of them today, you guys have a few options. You could take a break, post those on your website, and then consider all of them together if you think you could review them within like 10-15 minutes, if that's acceptable to the board. Or you could postpone your meeting to consider all of them, or you could consider the ones that you've already been given to see if you want to interview any of them, and then you could have another meeting to determine if you want to interview the other 2 at a later time.
I would like to hear from my board members because I think that before I say anything, shall I open it up for my other board members, please?
Madam Chair,
Valerie.
Valerie Clark for the record. I would make a motion to take about a 10 to 15 minute break to review those and come back to the meeting.
Madam Chair, this is Quincy Branch for the record. I would second and support Valerie's motion.
Any other comments? Why we could take a vote on that. I feel better if we just vote on that action. It was the one I was going to suggest as well. So we have that motion and it's seconded then. A motion by Valerie, Quincy has seconded it. And everybody in favor of taking a 15-minute break and then returning. And during that break, then Tiffany, you will post, send it to us on email, post it on the, also on the exchange. If you could do both, and that'll make it readily accessible to everyone quickly. And then it is now 12:41. So we'll resume around 12:55 or 1 o'clock. Shall we say 1 o'clock? Err on the side of giving you the few extra minutes, very big decision here to pick the right candidate. We don't want to rush it. And I do love the idea of doing this all together because you don't want to pick your top three if possibly they're in these other two. A great suggestion. Okay, so everybody in favor, you could raise your hand. Well, it looks like we definitely have a quorum of 5. I couldn't see everybody else, but so anyone opposed? So I think we have a board member. So we'll go ahead and reconvene, same Zoom thing in about 15 minutes at 1 o'clock. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, Quincy?
No, just asking the question. Tiffany, should we just stay on and just, turn our cameras off, or do you want us to log off and turn all back in?
You could do that, whatever you're most comfortable with.
Gotcha.
Okay, I'll just stay on and take my camera off. Thanks, Quincy.
Board members, if you're still on, this is Tiffany Davis for the records. We are diligently working on posting, and I have sent you an email with those applicants as we speak.
Thank you.
Members of the board and all of those joining us, I would like to let you know that the other 2 applicants have been posted to our website as well. Dr. Jameson, just a note too, I'm happy to continue with that executive director recruitment update once everybody returns to the meeting.
And Tiffany, since we did take a pause, but I do not believe anyone actually signed off. Do you think we should take roll call again, or are we okay?
I'm happy to take roll call again.
Why don't you just go ahead and I appreciate it's 1 o'clock if you take roll call again.
Would you like me to do that now, Dr. Jameson?
Yes.
The board members are ready. Right. Tiffany Davis for the record, and I'll be taking roll call again. Dr. Jameson?
Present.
Valerie Clark?
Present.
Levon Lewis? Still not present. Dr. Freeman?
Present.
Jonathan Johnson?
Here.
Jose Melendrez? Once again, he had a meeting conflict, so will not be joining us today. Quincy Branch?
Present.
Thank you. Susan Bierman?
Here.
And Commissioner Richardson? She also had a conflict, so will not be joining us. And then Kelly Anderson.
Here.
Thank you so much.
And Levon Lewis has
I am
joined us.
present. I have joined you. I am present.
Thank you, Levon. I would like to, Levon, I'm not sure if you were aware that we took a 15-minute, 20-minute break because it turned out that I think there was a news site for posting, and when it was inspected, it wasn't obvious that anyone had actually submitted applicants, and on a final review just prior to the meeting, it was noted that 2 applicants had been submitted, and we 20 minutes ago sent them out on email to board members to review so that we would have not 5, but now 7 applicants to consider at this meeting today. And for your benefit, I'm not sure if you're aware that these 2 additional applicants should be on your email and also on the website, the exchange, for you to review. The 2 additional applicants would be, and I wouldn't do this name correctly, French B.E. de Vinone, and the other applicant, Ms. Lewis, is Ken Jakubobatsky, and I apologize if I pronounce those wrong. So if you'd like to check those out, we will go ahead and start proceeding, but for your, so you have all the complete information. And then I would like to thank I thank everyone for getting this so beautifully organized. And even though that was just a little glitch, not unexpected with the new posting and everything that's available. And fortunately, we found it before we really started. So that turned out to work out just fine. Thank you, Tiffany. And I also wanted to thank Tiffany and the others for giving us a lot of guidelines on doing this in the most appropriate and fair manner possible. She has her executive director recruiting update for us to start. In addition to what she'll say, remember as we go through our proceedings today, that she also provided us with the posted the job title and the description and the various the Silver State Exchange overview, the position descriptions, essential skills, experiences, special guidance, which anybody tuning in and joining us today is what our board members will be using as a guideline in determining if applicants are qualified and should be moved on to the interview process. And I want to thank everyone again for making this possible to be done in as thorough, complete, and fair manner as possible. Tiffany?
Thank you, Dr. Chair. For the record again, Tiffany Davis with the Silver State Health Insurance Exchange Executive Assistant. And so I would like to present to you the Executive Director Recruitment Update, just to give you kind of a timeline and how we got to this point of having this meeting today. As we know, our former Executive Director, Heather Korbulik, had resigned effective December 3rd, 2021. And the Exchange staff initiated recruitment through the Department of Administration's Division of Human Resources Management upon her resignation. The position recruitment was posted around November 29th, 2021, and the posting ended January 14th of 2022. These recruitment efforts attracted approximately, as we have updated this number to now 7 candidates who have applied for this position. The recruitment was posted at the following locations: at the Nevada State Career website, which is careers.nv.gov. Also on our Nevada Health Links LinkedIn site, and then also on our website, Nevada Health Links website, we have a careers page. Also, it was posted with NASHP and also shared on Facebook, Twitter, other social media platforms. Janelle Davis, our communications officer, and Katie also helped with the outreach in that way. The executive assistant, communications officer, and our policy compliance manager at the Exchange have reviewed these applicants with the guidance of the Department of Administration's Division of Human Resource Management. In addition, the Exchange is requesting assistance, requested assistance from the Division of Human Resource Management with the applicant's reference checks. And reference checks have been done on the 5 candidates. Of course, with the 2 that were just submitted to us today, those reference checks have not yet been done, but we are, the Human Resource Management team is willing to do that as well. I would like to make mention that today, to help us through this process, and if you have further questions that I'm not able to answer, we do have, of course, our DAG, Michelle Briggs, but then we also have Michelle Garten. She's the Deputy Administrator with the Division of Human Resources Management. And we also have Rhonda Viver, who is a Personnel Officer with the Agency Human Resources Services. So with their expertise in the whole public interview process, if you have any questions about that, they are here to help as well and guide us. So it's the Exchange staff's recommendation that the board take these applicants into consideration for the purpose of narrowing down who you would like to invite to interview at the upcoming board meeting on February 24th of 2022 at 12:30 p.m. or another date of the board's choosing. For the purpose of keeping the public interview process consistent, we would like to recommend that you consider such things as how many questions you would like to have asked, who will specifically ask the questions, how the questions should be gathered, how long interviews should last. I would like to know if the board chooses to hold these interviews at the February 24th board meeting. Please keep in mind, we're going to be covering a lot of reports at that board meeting. So it'll be quite a lengthy one, possibly. So just keeping that in mind as you're considering interviews plus reports and everything going on at that board meeting. And I believe, and there further information will be provided to the board about the recommended process for public interviews that does come from the Division of Human Resources. And it's a process that is wonderful in that it helps to keep everything consistent and open and for everyone. So if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Florence Jameson, Tiffany, thank you. That is very thorough. And I would like to start by saying that we do now have 7 applicants, and using the guidelines of what is required for this job with the description that was sent out, I think that you have made it very helpful for us to go through these applicants to see with the information you've already provided. So I would like to start by saying there are 2 major parts to our meeting today. One, of course, is selecting the applicants we would like to proceed with, and that involves selecting all of those we would like to interview. And we do not have to limit ourselves. It could be the board's desire, could be 1, 2, 3, 4. And so I would like first to have the board's input on if you would like to go ahead and go through the applicants first, and then depending on the findings, I think then could really decide on whether we end up interviewing 3, 2, or 4, etc. So I don't think we need to decide until we've reviewed them, but I'm certainly always willing to take any suggestions or recommendations. So then I would say we go ahead and start our applicant review. And then once we're done with that, because I think that that is the really hard part of our meeting today, then we can spend a few minutes or whatever it takes to do the second half, which is talking about the format going forward of who will ask questions, how the questions should be gathered, how many questions there will be. And this can be addressed as soon as we're done with the really important work of selecting the applicants to move forward. If that's good with everybody, does anybody have any concerns with that approach to our meeting today? Or shall we just proceed then? Okay, hearing nothing, seeing some thumbs up, we're going to proceed with our applicant review. And what I would suggest is that we start with our very first applicant and go in the order that they've been given to us. And the first applicant that we have is Brannon Grady. And what I would like to suggest is I'm just going to bring up the name. We will not be reviewing the entire application. I will assume that everybody has indeed reviewed it. And what I would like to do first is kind of keep it relatively simple. And if somebody else has any other suggestions, I will go there. And this might be too simple for everybody. What I would suggest is, I found it fairly straightforward when I looked at these applications, compared them to the job descriptions we were given, to see which applicants I personally felt were good fits. And so I would suggest that we can start by either saying just a simple yes or no. And if a majority of people desire an applicant to proceed, we will. After we do that, if there are questions, like some people think they should have proceeded and we didn't, and you want to discuss it, we would go into that. So I know that it sounds kind of straightforward, because it really is. So first candidate, I would like someone to propose that we go ahead and I think the best way to do it is make a motion that they should move forward. And if we get a vote that allows them to move forward, the majority of people, then they'll move forward to the interview stage. And if we don't get a majority vote, they would not move forward to the interview stage. Now, are we comfortable with that? Any other suggestions? Okay, I'm getting a lot of thumbs up here that, so Valerie, Quincy, Sarah. Okay, so the first, does someone want to make a motion about moving Brannon Grady from applicant into the interview phase? Motion and a second. Does anybody want to move this person? Did I get frozen? Are you guys there? So do you guys, shall I just take a vote then? Can you guys hear me?
Mhm.
Oh, okay. All right. So let's go ahead then and take a, Valerie or Quincy, do you want to move that we consider this person for interview?
I would move that we forego on that. So I'm not sure if you want me to say anything or
Oh,
stay
okay,
silent.
very good. So we'll just go ahead and I'll ask for a vote then. Excellent. Very good, Valerie. Straightforward. So everybody who would like to move candidate Brannon Grady to the interview process, we'll take a roll call on this, please, for the board members. Tiffany? Is she still with us?
Yes, Dr. Jameson, I'm here.
Okay, you can call my name last on the vote, and if you start with the other board members for a vote on moving Brannon Grady to the interview stage.
Okay, Valerie Clark,
No.
Miss Lewis,
No.
Dr. Freeman,
No.
Jonathan Johnson,
No.
Quincy Branch,
No.
Suzanne Bierman,
No.
Kelly Anderson,
So I'm a non-voting member, correct?
correct. We're just getting a full consensus here.
No.
Thank you.
And so won't be necessary me to vote, but would you prefer that I do, Tiffany?
You may, Dr. Jameson.
Okay, I would say no. So moving on to our next candidate. Ryan High. So I'm going to go ahead and ask Tiffany to go ahead and take a roll call vote for Ryan. If you are in favor of moving Ryan High to the interview stage, please say yes or no.
Valerie Clark,
Yes.
Lavon Lewis,
Yes.
Dr. Friedman,
Yes.
Jonathan Johnson,
Yes.
Quincy Branch,
Yes.
Suzanne Bierman,
Yes.
Kelly Anderson.
Yes.
And yes. And the next candidate is Tammy Brunson. And Tiffany, if you do the roll call vote, whether she should be moved from applicant to the interview stage.
A small correction, Dr. Jameson, that applicant is Troy Johns.
Oh, my apologies. Okay.
There we
Yes,
go.
it's Troy Johns. I am so sorry.
Oh, thank you so
I
much.
was freaking out there.
I know. Hey, would you like to do that? Change here.
Thank you so much, Dr. Jameson. Valerie Clark,
Yes.
Miss Lavon Lewis,
Yes.
Dr. Friedman,
Yes.
Jonathan Johnson,
Yes.
Quincy Branch,
Yes.
Suzanne Bierman,
Yes.
and Kelly Anderson.
Yes.
And Dr. Jameson?
Yes. And our fourth applicant is Amanda Lawson. And if you would like to go ahead, Tiffany, and do a roll call vote.
Of course, Valerie Clark,
No.
Levon Lewis,
No.
Dr. Friedman,
No.
Jonathan Johnson,
No.
Quincy Branch,
No.
Suzanne Bierman,
No.
Kelly Anderson,
No.
and Dr. Jameson.
No. Our next applicant is Kay Marino.
So Karen Marino,
Karen Marino. Mhm.
Valerie Clark,
No.
Miss Lewis,
No.
Dr. Friedman,
No.
Jonathan Johnson,
No.
Quincy Branch,
No.
Suzanne Bierman,
No.
Kelly Anderson.
No.
Our next candidate, and I just want to verify that everybody had an opportunity and did receive it, was able to review it, and feel comfortable to make this vote now.
This is Levon Lewis, and I did not receive it, and I'm not comfortable in making a vote on this one because I did not receive it. I haven't seen it yet. So, and it's not on the website, but perhaps if I go out and go back in, it might be there. So I will abstain from voting on these last two candidates.
Okay, and if there's any concern and there is a split vote or anything, we will ask you to review
Okay.
and come back. And I'd like our DAG staff, Michelle, to comment on if there's any, if she has any other suggestions at that.
Oh, that's fine. If you guys can't come to a majority decision with the quorum that you have without her, then you can ask her to review and then you can take another vote.
Okay, thank you, Michelle Briggs. All right, so then our next candidate is French V.E. de Fignon. And if you could, Valerie, Tiffany, take a roll call vote.
Of course, Dr. Jameson. And just a note for Ms. Lewis that it is on our website now, so hopefully she can see that in case it's needed.
Okay.
So Valerie Clark
No.
and Dr. Friedman,
No.
Jonathan Johnson,
No.
Quincy Branch,
No.
Suzanne Bierman,
No.
and Kelly Anderson,
No.
and Dr. Jameson.
No. And that leads us to our final applicant, Ken Jakuboski, and I apologize if I did not say that correctly. Tiffany, if you could do a roll call vote.
Valerie Clark,
Yes.
Dr. Friedman,
No.
Jonathan Johnson,
No.
Quincy Branch,
No.
Suzanne Bierman,
No.
Kelly Anderson,
No.
and Dr. Jameson.
No. Thank you so much. So we now have two candidates to move forward to the interview process, which I'm so pleased to see. And I'm not sure if the candidates are involved in our watching now and realize that they are, but I imagine that Tiffany will be giving a formal invitation and making them aware of the results of the board. Tiffany?
Yes, I'd be happy to do that, Dr. Jameson.
And so we will be moving on. Ryan High and Troy Johns to the interview stage. Congratulations, and we're all going to be extremely excited to be doing the interview. So now the work of deciding how and when, we tentatively, as Tiffany said, have it scheduled for the February 24th meeting, and there are two. And I think a lot of it will be determined by how long you would like to have the interviews last, and if we are going to be able to do it at the next board meeting or whether we need a separate meeting. So I think I'd like to also first, before we start with the how many questions, what would the questions be, I would like Michelle Briggs, our DAG staff person, to share with us. I believe that in the past, we have had some standard questions when we did do this in the past. And I would like to have her give us some guidance on how we would work together with her, perhaps in creating some of the questions and about providing our questions that we would like to insert. Michelle?
Yes, Madam Chair. Michelle Briggs, Chief Deputy Attorney General. I was not with you guys when you did your last interview for Heather, so I don't know what the questions were. But it is advisable to have consistent questions for the candidates. They can be specific to, and you can get additional info from HR as well, but you can have them specific to their background, obviously, and what their strengths are. But you want to make sure that you're asking consistent questions to both of them to get a full picture to be fair. And so if any of the individual board members want to submit questions, I can review them, HR can review them, Exchange staff can review them. And depending on how long you want the interview to be, we can narrow them down. And that's entirely up to you, whatever you think is best.
At this point, thank you so much, Michelle. At this point, did staff have any recommended basic questions already?
Dr. Jamison, Tiffany Davis for the record. I do have a collection of those past questions that were asked from actually, honestly, back in 2014 is what I kind of have drawn from. There were 12 questions that were asked, and then there was 3 final just kind of basic questions at the very end to kind of close out the interview. So I do have some examples on hand.
Okay, excellent. Now, we actually don't want you to tell us what those questions are. And so what we would like to do is, have spontaneity at the time of the interview. So for everyone's information, we're not going to actually have Tiffany read us the list of those questions. And so Tiffany or Michelle, we would like your guidance in the sense that I think the board appreciates that we believe disclosing the questions just prior to the meeting would be the most prudent thing to do. And so I would like to say, Tiffany, Michelle, that at this point, that is a starting point, those questions, and you have those questions. And then I would like to recommend, and I know this is a little difficult, but if any of you board members have a question that you really, would like them to address, one or more, that you submit those questions. Who would we submit them to? You, Tiffany?
You certainly could.
Mm-hmm. And then, so go ahead and submit those questions. And then, Tiffany, Michelle, we don't want to end up with 30 questions. The streamline of those questions, the tapering down of those questions, how do you think that should come about?
I do know there is in the recommended process for public interviews from DERM, they have suggested, just as you were saying, to have board members send either to me or another representative. We can kind of narrow those down, but ultimately it does say in their direction that the chair would approve of all the questions being asked. So not all the board members would get, but I'd refer back to Michelle Briggs to see if she has any issues with that. And then, I mean, you could set how many questions you want them narrowed down to, I would believe.
Okay, I do very much trust in the process. I was around with the 2014 and those questions. And as I think most of you can conceive, that they were very well thought out questions and a good starting point. And probably most of the questions that may be submitted will be somewhat duplicate or similar. So we'll go ahead with that and use those as a starting point. The board will submit any others, and you can kind of put them together and determine, and then I'll review them just prior. Does that sound reasonable to everybody? I'm open for questions or comments.
All right. Dr. Jameson?
Quincy.
All right, yeah, Quincy Branch for record. So just a couple of questions for clarity. So we got the two finalist candidates. We're going to set up time to interview them. And are we disclosing the questions to the candidates prior to?
No.
Okay, and we're going to formulate those. Okay, fine. That's what I wanted clarity on. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Valerie Clark.
Madam Chair, Valerie Clark for the record. I just wanted to confirm, is the board going to see the questions at some point before we interview, or no?
The way it was done in the past and our guidance for processes fairness is to release them to the board just prior to the meeting.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Sarah Friedman.
Sarah Friedman for the record. Just following up on that question, will there be assignments of who's going to ask which question, or will you ask all of the questions? How will that work?
You have segued right into our next, that's a spam. Let me get that off. I apologize. You've taken us to our next step. Thank you so much, Sarah. If there's no further questions about the questions. Okay, so the next step is, of course, how many questions, and then who will actually ask the questions. So for instance, if we end up with 12 questions and there are 6 board members attending, we would probably suggest that we divide those amongst our board members to ask the questions. Michelle or Tiffany, if you have any other comments?
No, that sounds good. As long as, like you were mentioning, as long as there's consistency with so the same board members would ask the same questions each time to each candidate to keep things consistent.
Excellent. And could you clarify again about the number that had before? And then you said there were the final 3. Could you clarify?
Yeah, the 12 questions were, how do I describe this without giving it away? Asked about, their background, their resumes, their just kind of roles, and all of that. The final questions were more of just very generic, very basic, not specific to any of their qualifications for the job. They were just 3 supplemental, very just short ending type questions that kind of wrapped things up.
So do you think the board would like to follow suit with that? So we'll have the very more specific questions, and in the end, have some general questions. Any other comments on that part? And that allows, as I think we mentioned in one of the emails, everyone to be answering questions that are more specific to job capabilities, and in the last 3 reflect a little more about character and their unique personalities.
And Dr. Jameson, just to note that after all these questions are asked of the candidate, if the board has additional questions, that would be that the candidate per a candidate's remark or there's something on their resume that stood out to a board member, they're able to ask additional questions. At that time.
Thank you, Tiffany. And then the one thing we haven't addressed is how long the interviews would be and whether we want to try to do it at the next board meeting. So, generally speaking, the average length of our board meeting, it's not too long. We start at 12:30 and we're generally done by 2:30. So would you say, and so the question would be whether, and this is going to be at least a 2-hour meeting minimally, because it's a busy meeting. We're going to go over our amazing results of our last session and our phenomenal results of breaking through the ceiling of 100,000. Yes. And then we will, so 2 hours, and then deciding on the length of the interview. So if we were to just say, ask a candidate 12 plus 3, let's say 15 questions, and allow them to answer each question adequately, which could take 1 to 3 minutes. Certainly no one should spend more than 3 minutes on any one question. I would like you guys to determine if you feel what you think, how much time you would like to give them. Any comments?
Is
Half an
45
hour?
minutes?
Well, this is
Is-
Yvonne Lewis. Oh, I'm sorry.
Go
Go
ahead,
ahead.
Yvonne.
This is Yvonne Lewis. I think we should allow a minimum of 45 minutes. And certainly we might want to think of, even though it may be excessive, an hour for the interview. If we have 15 questions and everybody takes 3 minutes to answer each question, that's 45 minutes, right? Yeah, I think I learned that in arithmetic. So I think that, that allowing a minimum of 45 minutes and certainly maybe an hour just for each interview would not be excessive. That's my thought.
Very good.
I would agree with that.
And Valerie? Mhm.
I would concur with Levon.
Very good. Yes, it's the old thing. I think a half hour is not enough. An hour might be more than they need, but we could start off by saying the 45 minutes, and should the first candidate run over, the second candidate would have the equal time.
Mhm.
So we'll plan on an hour and a half. So let's just say our meeting goes 2 hours, and then we have an hour and a half. That's a 3.5 hour meeting. How does everybody feel about that? And I would imagine, I'd like Tiffany some guidance on this. Would the interviews be after our regular session and then the interviews, or vice versa?
We are happy to go with the board's direction on that, whichever you would prefer.
I'm going to take suggestions from the board. Nobody has a strong feeling either way.
I'm
Then I'd
open either way.
Yeah.
I
This is
would
Jonathan
rather-
Johnson,
Oh, okay.
and I'm open to do
Jonathan?
it, start the meeting early or extend the meeting. I like the idea of tackling it all
Okay.
at the same time.
So my preference would be being, having been a applicant and candidate, to do the interviews first, so that out of respect for them, and not have them wait an undetermined amount of time as we do our business. I would like to just do the candidates first, thank them, let them be on their way, and then continue with the business. It seems like we have addressed how many questions, who will be asking, how we're going to gather our questions, and how long the interview should be. And so at this point, I'm going to move on to our regular agenda for this meeting and say that the possible actions regarding dates and times and agendas for future meetings, we have just decided to roll this all into one meeting, so we will not need an extra meeting. I agree with you. And thank you, Jonathan Johnson. And then, does anybody else have any comments about other possible actions? in our future meeting on the 24th of February. Okay, and then if there's no other comments by our staff, we can actually go to public comment. Tiffany, did we miss anything?
I don't believe so at this time. I would like to open it up and see if Michelle Garten or Michelle Briggs have any other further comments for the board on these items.
So this is Michelle Garten. Hi. I have no further comments that I can think of specifically. Tiffany, I think you did a great job, and Michelle, and the rest of the board did a great job. I'm very impressed with how that rolled, even though we had a situation at the beginning, which we, sincerely apologize for, and we'll look into what happened with the system there. It's a new system, as had been mentioned, so it's got some quirks. So yes, congratulations on getting your candidates, and really hope that one of them will work out for you.
Thank you, Michelle.
Absolutely, answer any questions, and we've worked with Tiffany quite a bit through the process here, and we'll certainly be happy to continue to do so.
Thank you, Michelle.
And I see Janelle, her picture came on. Was there going to be any comments from Janelle? Okay, you got off easy today, Janelle. Very easy. But you'll have your work at our next meeting. So having said that, I would like to open it up for public comment. Do we have any one that has decided to come forward with public? Oh, Barry.
Yes, thank you. For the record, my name is Barry Gold, the Director of Government Relations for AARP. You know me, never miss an opportunity to speak. What I have to say is I don't apologize, but in extolling the virtues of Heather at the beginning of the meeting, I forgot my other reason for wanting to do public comment. And that is when you are considering and choosing a candidate for executive director, AARP strongly urges you to select someone who is first and foremost a consumer advocate. That's what this is all about, is someone who can represent the people who need and want to buy insurance. So they also need to have a very deep understanding of the insurance industry and the industry perspective, but they need to be a consumer advocate. In the past, there has been an executive director who, how can I say it, was a little bit overly industry focused, but don't get me started. So I think it's really important, and part of the success of HealthLink in the past few years has been the fact the executive director was a consumer advocate. I think that is so important, and AARP, on behalf of our 345,000 members that I frequently mention, strongly urges the board to select a strong consumer advocate for the next executive director. Thank you.
Barry, thank you. And it's always nice to remember why we're all here, and that is indeed to serve the people of the state of Nevada. We're here to serve them. And we will not forget that, we guarantee you. And I would like to then ask if there's any other public comment. Otherwise, we could ask for an adjournment.
We have no one in the conference room in Carson City. I'm going to go ahead and open up the 3 people that are joined only by phone. If you would like to make a public comment, you can go ahead now. If you're joined by Zoom, please raise your hand. Thank you. Not seeing anyone jump in, so I think we're good.
Not hearing anything. I want to thank everyone for joining us, all the board members, the ex-board members, Quincy, Michelle, Sarah, Valerie. It is a very exciting journey. Jonathan, Yvonne, and we look forward to this continued journey to bring more access to healthcare in our Nevada state until everybody has access to healthcare. So thank you all. And I look forward to seeing you on the 24th. And we look forward to any questions that you will be submitting. Thank you.